Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, the really big show. We have a really big show planned for you today. Really big. Really big. Let me get my camera on here. What a difference true love made in my life. Green screen it. So right. There we are. Whew. Lovers come and then lovers go. Ladies and gentlemen, while you're welcoming yourself into the room, hello everyone. Hello everybody. Please share this live. Number 1, to your story. Number 2, you can repost it so that it will appear on people's FYP. Number 3, you can text a link. You can text a link of this to people who have TikTok, but for some reason they don't be on it enough. You're like, hey, come on over. We're talking to a candidate from Florida. Also, you can spam your followers. Press down on the prompt where you see the big old graphic that says Jonathan Harris, and all of your followers will come up, and you just go down the line. Especially find people who live in Florida, but also find people who live in the United States, because Mr. Harris is running for a U.S. congressional office, and we know that the decisions of Congress affect the entire freaking nation. We don't get to pick and choose when we're at the national level who our decisions affect. So they affect everybody. So send it out to the people so we can get some engagement in here for Mr. Harris. And if you are in the chat and you have a question for Mr. Harris, you can leave it in the chat, or you can hit the multi-guest and come up and ask him yourself. I am right now spamming my followers. You're like, hey, come listen to Mr. Harris. Let's see. I don't know if it has a limit either. What a difference true love made in my life. And I know Mr. Harris is in the room. I saw him. So I'm going to send him a request. Mr. Harris, hello. Come on up. Mr. Harris, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
1 second.
You do want to be seen, don't you, Mr. Harris?
Say again.
Hello. Welcome to your really big show on TikTok Live.
Yeah, this is a first for me, so this is awesome.
This is your first TikTok Live ever?
Yes.
I should give you the greeting they gave my daughter when she voted for the first time the other day. They were like, yay, first time voter. Yay, first time TikTok Liver.
I know. I feel like I need confetti and balloons and stuff just popping out of everywhere.
Well, you know what? I'm going to send you some confetti as a gift. So nice. I hope that suffices.
That'll work.
Hey, look, confetti. Look. There you go.
That's awesome.
Also, have you told your followers that you were here?
I did post it on my story earlier. I just posted it again on my story. And then let me see.
Pardon me. I have to get something out of my teeth. Excuse me. I was eating fruit before I came on here, and fruit likes to stick around. So, but yes, I'm going to run these likes up. I'm going to run these likes up. And I'm going to ask you a few, just some lead-in questions. How are you
Sure.
feeling this evening, Mr. Harris?
So I'm actually really glad it's Friday because I get the weekend off and I don't have any political stuff to do this weekend. So that's awesome.
Oh no! You don't get sir. You don't get a weekend off when you're running for Congress. Did they tell you that? That's in the handbook. I feel like that's in the
No,
handbook.
no, I need a weekend off. I've been running myself ragged these last couple of weeks, just because of the stuff that's going on here in Florida, the national implications that kind of means for Florida voters. So yes, these past couple of weekends I have been extremely busy. Not to mention, I am also still in the United States Army Reserve. So we had annual training a previous weekend, a weekend or so back,
Wow.
and it spanned all the way into the week. So yeah, I'm due for a chill weekend this weekend.
So you've got like three jobs or something, right? You're in the
I
reserve. You
Yes.
do for a living. It says here that you do something for a living.
So I am a cybersecurity analyst, government contracting for Special Operations Command on MacDill Air Force Base. And if you're familiar with the Tampa Bay area, that is a well-known Air Force base. And then my second job, obviously, the Army. I've been in the Army for 20 years now, both active duty and reserve duty. And then my third job is obviously running a campaign. So
Right.
and I didn't think it would be this
Wow.
involved when I first started, but it really is a whole nother job.
Well, let me tell you something. When you win and you make it to Congress, you're going to feel like you worked five jobs, right? Because they work you. They do
Oh
work.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got to fundraise over here. You got to vote on bills over here. You got to talk to constituents over here. Then you got to talk to your colleagues and negotiate with them over here. Then you got to eat.
Constituents first, then
Constituents. You
colleagues,
look at you. Look at you.
passing bills, and then
Already
fundraising.
schmoozing. Already
No,
schmoozing.
no, we're trying to get things done in Congress. My job isn't to fundraise. If you like what I'm doing when I get there, yeah, send me a donation. But my job is to get stuff done.
Okay. Speaking of getting stuff done, I need to do the introduction for our lovely organization here, Our Vote Counts, which is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Our vote counts is more than a name. It is a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future one informed vote at a time. And let me tell you, it's tough. It is tough. Those votes don't come easy.
Mhm.
I'm in Ohio, and we had our primary on this past Tuesday, and only 22% of registered voters showed up to make their voices heard. So, what do you think is going to happen in Florida?
To be honest with you, we are not even sure that the maps that we currently have are going to be the
Oh,
ones that we end up with, when we actually get to the primary, or because it's facing legal challenges. For those of you who don't know, they recently just redrew our districts. The Republican legislature and the Republican governor, they signed that off about a week or so ago. And then it's facing legal challenges, so it's going to go to the Florida Supreme Court. But what's interesting about Florida that's kind of different from some of the other states that have done similar things is that we actually have a fair districting law
right.
that was amended to our constitution here in Florida, which prohibits this kind of partisan gerrymandering. So we'll see if the Supreme Court here in Florida actually has objective, purview on this law.
You know what happens when people don't follow the Constitution? What we're seeing right now, the scrambling, the lawlessness, the chaos. If everyone just followed the Constitution, even their state constitutions, states fought very hard to be able to have that autonomy, that power, and it should be respected. But we're seeing that's not happening. You know what? It would have also been nice if some people had said, it's just too late in the year for us to change these maps. We're going to wait until 2027 or 2028 so that people could, chill out a bit. No, they were waiting. They were waiting to do this. So, are you sure this is the district now? You're 16, right? Are you sure that's going to be where you're landing?
So I guess the good thing for me is before they redrew the districts, I was in Congressional District 16.
Okay.
And that was actually where I live. I lived in Hillsborough County portion of it. And then when they redrew the maps, they actually redrew it where they drew Hillsborough County out of the map for 16. So I actually technically reside in Congressional District 14, but that seat is currently held by Kathy Castor. She's a Democrat who is doing an amazing job, well loved here in the Tampa Bay area. I don't see any problem with her leadership in Congress. So my goal was to stay in a seat where Vern Buchanan is the incumbent, and he had been sitting in that seat for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And voters, even though they went to the polls, they weren't being heard. He wasn't, holding town halls. So they haven't had real representation in Manatee County, Sarasota, in the Sarasota parts that fall within that district. So I feel like it's still my duty and my responsibility to try and provide great leadership. And so I'm sticking with 16. So even if they switch it back, I'm still going to be in Congressional District 16.
Okay. I like to hear that. You mentioned Manatee County and parts of Hillsborough County are part of 16.
So Hillsborough was.
Hillsborough was. Okay. But there's Riverview, Brandon, and Sun City Center. Are those still 16?
So no, those are the parts that reside within, and see, this is how it's all confusing, right? Like, because everybody's like, okay, well, what district do I reside in?
Yes,
and even for me as a candidate who's running in this race, I know that now I have parts of Pinellas County. So I have South St. Petersburg, that falls within my district. I have Manatee County, some parts of Sarasota County. I have DeSoto County, and then there's one other county. I keep forgetting the name of it, and that's not because I don't love you guys out there if you guys are on this live, but it's just because I'm still trying to get used to where the boundaries are now.
See, that's crazy. Why? That doesn't make any sense. It's very confusing. Listen, my state has been gerrymandered for decades, it seems, Ohio. We're never confused. We just roll with it. The Republicans are going to do what the Republicans do, and they've done it, and the people tried to change it, and it didn't work. But having to deal with what you're dealing with, I don't know. I would be concerned about, am I even voting? Are we even going to vote this year? I would be worried. I would be very worried. So when you talk to people, you're like, yes, I'm running for Congress. Are they going, is there a Congress? Is there a vote? Is there an election? Are the people concerned as you are?
So I think what I get from a lot of people is they know that elections have to happen, right? Because, you're only elected for a certain period of time. Right. And, whoever's sitting in that seat, their time is up when it comes around to, January of the next year. So people know that these elections have to happen, but are they representative of the people who actually live in these districts, the people who actually care about the outcome of who their elected representative is?
So let me ask you these questions. I don't even know if these questions will work now. Well, some of them are based on places that are no longer in your district. Let me see. Well, okay, let me ask you this question. We posed this question to a candidate last night. The VA is struggling, right? Things are being cut that shouldn't be cut. Money is not being injected into it the way it needs to be. What are some programs you think should either stay or go, or does it need to be expanded? How do you see yourself contributing to reforming the VA?
So I think that you're right. There's been a lot of cuts to the VA, and I'm like I said, I'm a veteran, right? So VA benefits are very important to me, not just for my own personal kind of well-being, but also to the people that I've served with. I know a lot of people here locally have mental health issues, and the lines, or sorry, the intake rosters for Bay Pines or James A. Haley sometimes could be like 3 months long before you actually get seen by a provider. So for me, I think that all of the people that have been cut over the last year or so, or even past that, right? We need to bring those jobs back, those providers back, and then make sure that if we don't have enough providers doing something, that people are able to quickly see outside care. And I know that the VA already has a partnership, but quickly see outside care so that they can get what they need, especially for those who are most at risk. But speaking about the VA overall, I think that the whole program needs to be expanded, because there are a lot of veterans who go without care or treatment for the things that they need. And I know this because I have several people that I talked to from when I first joined in 2006, that they say, oh, well, I don't need the benefits. Let somebody else who needs that go get the care. But we're all entitled to that care because we've all served and put our bodies and our well-being on the line. So for them to not to go without treatment, I think that that's the wrong answer for a nation who spent the last 20 plus years at war.
So, what do you think was the wisdom behind these cuts? I know it was, fraud, ways to be able, but we're talking about veterans services.
Well, that's the thing.
There's no dollar that's wasted when it comes to treating a veteran, in my opinion. And I'm not a veteran. I have veterans in my family, but there's no money that's wasted.
I completely agree with you. I think that it's very easy to say that, oh, there's this system that, people get free stuff for, and there's fraud, waste, and abuse. But realistically, it's not free. These service members paid for these things, whether that be through trauma that they received on the battlefield, whether that be a injury that existed after a training exercise. These things that basically are saying in the military is the U.S. government rents your body for however many years that you're in the military, and at the end of that, it is their responsibility to take care of the things that are wrong with it, because ultimately we're going to be left having to foot the bill after the fact. But it's easy to point to a system and say, hey, look, there's fraud, waste, and abuse. But I think the VA only covers 1 to 5% of the annual spend. That's nothing. We should be focused on bigger problems, I think.
Right. It should have been off limits.
Yeah.
It should have been. And that's unfortunate. Do you, in your specific district, are there issues with veteran homelessness or veterans with mental health issues that are not? You mentioned that they have mental health issues that are not being addressed. What is one policy you would champion to? I mean, you could, even at the state level, you could send some block grant to the state to encourage them to build housing for veterans. What's one policy that you would champion in that regard?
So you're right, and I think that for veteran homelessness, that is where I would work with my state leaders here. I'm on the campaign trail with a lot of Democrats who are also running for whether that's county commission, whether that's state legislature, and I think that they are uniquely positioned to be able to be here, boots on ground. I live in this district. Well, I live in the area, right? But I'm going to be in Washington, so I'm not going to always be here to say, okay, yeah, this is where you need to go. But it's that partnership with your state leaders, your local leaders, and say, okay, how can we get this done? Come up with a plan of attack, and then obviously address that. So to the veteran homelessness, yes, we need to, one, establish places where, safe havens where they can go if they are at risk of losing their home or have lost their home, but also find, communities where we can build and then, have those available for veterans who are getting on their feet or, just missing an opportunity. But that comes with the state and local partnerships, something that I'm very passionate about. I don't think that governance should be done just at a federal level. We should be partners in how we address these issues.
And I just noticed that I am not wearing my mic. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good. I just noticed that. There's something missing. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yes,
Okay.
I can. Yes, thank you. So Florida's Gulf Coast faces increasing threats from weather-related events like hurricanes, flooding, sea level rising, and coastal erosion. What specific actions would you support to strengthen coastal resilience and better protect the homes and businesses in your district?
So I think there's a two-part answer to that question. I know that as we look at how building code is enforced, we need to look at one being I guess, more diligent about how we actually build homes here. And then also the infrastructure that surrounds these homes, whether that be, water runoff canals, whether that be, I guess storm drains near your neighborhoods. We need to find ways to build better. And I think that, again, starts with that partnership with our state and local, officials and say, okay, what are some of the things that you guys are seeing? How can we give you the federal dollars to execute and then let them go ahead and execute? I think my job, and this has always been my philosophy as a leader in the Army, is I know you need to do a thing. How can I enable you to do that thing?
Yes.
And then let's get to work, right? And then it's not about me at that point. It's, hey, I have given you the resources and the tools to be successful. Now I need you to go succeed. So that would be the first part, is, again, working with those partners, identifying how we can be, again, more storm resilient in our building codes and this infrastructure that surrounds it. But then two, we also have to think about some of the challenges that people are facing in terms of the insurance market. And I know that this may be a completely separate topic, but when we talk about Florida specifically, because we are prone to a lot of like storm damage, we've seen huge increases in our home insurance costs over the last couple of years.
Yes,
and that's a problem because we're talking about, 2x, 3x, on our premiums. But, for a majority of my constituents, these people are retired. They're living on fixed incomes. And, to say, hey, look, your homeowner's insurance jumped up, double, that's not something that people can forecast for. So we also have to address the problem of home insurance here in Florida. And I think that I have a plan or initiative that would actually achieve that in a relatively short time. And that would be through having our insurance companies, accountable for providing insurance in the state, because we did see an exodus of insurance companies recently. So if you are writing a insurance policy here in Florida and it's auto insurance policy, well, you also have to provide homeowners insurance as well. You can't just say, hey, look, I'm going to pick and choose, right? And then also addressing the real problem of why homeowners insurance is high, because a lot of homeowners insurance providers, they have insurance on insurance, so it's called reinsurance. And those markets fluctuate wildly. So what we want to do is we want to cap what insurance companies will pay on that that reinsurance, and at the federal government level, we'll do that. And then that means there's no wild fluctuations in our premiums, and then people will just pay what they have to pay.
You know what? I think you are the first candidate who has been on our program who has successfully answered that question. Usually it's, well, that's a state thing and we can't do anything about it. You just explained how you can do something about it. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a data analyst, so I say cybersecurity, but I do data analysis all the time. So for me, I really dig into the nuts and bolts of what the problem is to try and figure out how you get to the solution.
And you know what? I always describe the three levels as the federal, state, and local. They have a lever to pull, but the state can't really pull their lever unless the federal government pulls theirs, and the local certainly can't pull their lever until the state pulls theirs, and then the federal pulls. Everybody has to pull it, it seems, at the same time, but the federal's like, you guys can sort it out. You can work it out. You don't need us. But you do. You really do.
It is a partnership.
It is a partnership. So many residents also are worried about rapid development putting pressure on wetlands, but also rapid development is putting people out of their homes. I hear Florida has an issue with working homeless. Have you heard of this
Yeah.
phenomenon, working homeless?
Yeah, so those are the people who are out here, working, but they cannot. Well, and I'm gonna say I think this is the people who can't afford a home. Is
They
that is
can't
that the
afford a
yeah?
home. Yeah.
So realistically, I think, and COVID kind of exacerbated this situation.
We call it the
Uh,
big germ around here. We can't say
yeah, the big
disease.
germ. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The big
That's
germ.
okay. You didn't know. It's your first time.
Right. So it kind of exacerbated the situation, and where we had a lot of people moving into the state, which inflated the costs of homes. And then we also saw the rise of corporate money buying up single family homes. So again, that's artificially inflating the cost of homes. And nobody wants to sell at a loss. So we're not seeing home prices come down fast in a fast way. So a lot of people who, have been working and saving, and my sister is one of them. She's been working and saving to buy a home. She's still unable to do it because it is out of her reach. And a story that's deeply personal to me. I think when the big germ kind of kicked off, me and my wife were actually looking for a bigger home at the time. I think the home that we were pricing out was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 300,000 or so, and that same home in the course of a year ended up being about $500,000 or $600,000,
Mm-mm.
and
No.
that's crazy.
Mm-mm. That is crazy. That's about 5 times what I paid for my house that I am sitting in right now doing this interview. That's crazy. I so are the incomes not keeping up, or are they just inflating these prices so wildly that people just can't afford, even if their incomes go up, they still can't afford it.
Well, I think the answer is both, right? So we do have the inflation of the market, but also, yeah, I don't think that there's been a meaningful wage increase since the original tax cuts in 2017, which were further extended or signed into law by the One Big Beautiful Bill. So realistically, corporations have gotten a tax cut on their income from 35% down to 21%. They keep all of the loopholes that still exist, and they've not invested in the people who actually make their corporations successful, which is the workers,
The
right?
workers,
They're
yeah.
spending all of this money paying, billion-dollar, I guess, CEO packages, and posting billions and trillion-dollar profits, but who's actually investing in the people who make these companies successful? And I think that that's the problem is, and I hate quoting other people who are running for office, but Mr. Talrico in Texas, he actually said this very well. The biggest, people that we need to worry about in terms of welfare are these giant corporations, because they're getting all these tax breaks, but not giving us anything back for it.
Yeah, why aren't people calling the corporations welfare queens? Why aren't they
That's as good
being
as mine.
ridiculed out there in them streets? That's
Yeah.
interesting. That says a lot about how things are framed in this country. Because you know what? The workers aren't just the workers, they're consumers also.
Yeah.
And if I don't got money, I'm not spending it anywhere. And if I can't spend it anywhere, well, then the corporations suffer and they might have to shut down, right?
I think another fair point is we also have people who work for these corporations who are recipients of social programs.
Right.
So food stamps, whether that be housing assistance. So is it really? a good look for, let's say let's say, I'm not going to throw a specific name out there, but a corporation who's posting $1 billion profits and they have their workers at the lowest level who need, government assistance just to make it, that's not good at all. So they're not giving anything back to the community in terms of, making sure that people have livable wages. So yeah, no, we need to fix this. We need to go back. Hey, look, these tax breaks got to go until they can show that they're doing something to address the problem. But yeah, I'm not going to give them tax breaks if they're just going to continue to post these $1 billion profits and give us nothing in return.
So you got the tax. I always get these words jumbled. Tax Act and Jobs Cuts, whatever, Act of 2017. Tax Acts and Jobs something.
Mm.
Of 2017. It was made permanent by the big beautiful bill. The Jonathan, come back. Come back, Jonathan.
Sorry, I had my audio cut out.
Oh, okay. It was made permanent by the BBB. What does Congress need to do to, I don't know, can you even undo this? Do you have to pass another law to undo the BBB that made permanent the 2017 tax cuts?
Absolutely.
What's your proposal, Jonathan?
That really is it. You do have to pass new legislation to, address this. And I think that we're in a bit of a pickle because, and I always use this term on the campaign trail. We do have to face political realities, and the political reality that we're facing is, unless we have a serious blue wave, which that's why I'm running, right? Unless we have a serious blue wave, we're still going to have to deal with, Republicans in Congress. And Republicans have made this one of the cornerstones of what they're running on. And one, we have to come to the table and say, hey, look, this isn't working. And then they have to agree to that. This isn't working. And then we have to move forward trying to find a solution to the problem. Again, I go back to, well, are we getting anything for these tax cuts? No. All right. Then we need to make the people who are making the most in this country pay their fair share. But that's where I think the problem is a lot of people say, yeah, this is great. This is what we're going to do. And then when they get to Washington, they say, oh, well, I can't do anything because I'm in my tribe. And this tribe is saying, no, we can't do that. But I'm very much I'm not a no person. I'm a how can I get to yes person. And as long as I continue to approach it with that aspect, and I always leave the door open for my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And I know that's a very unpopular thing to say.
It is.
But I have to do things, and you have to pass laws in a bipartisan fashion. Otherwise, when the pendulum swings the other way, the other side's going to be like, "Oh no, they did that." And
but they don't do that. They don't pass
I know they don't.
bipartisan. I mean, there were some instances where clearly they worked together, right? The Patriot Act, they worked together. Yay, worked together. That very first STEMI package that we got in 2020, they worked together. Yay. But then after that, it was like, okay, we're not agreeing to any of the other things that you want. You want affordable health care? No. You want these subsidies to continue for affordable health care? No, sorry. Mm-mm. You want what? You want tax cuts for the middle class? What? No, we don't do that. It seems like when it's something big, but for these little things, like I'm middle class, I would love to have a tax cut. In 2017, my taxes went up. And I tell people that all the time and they don't believe me. It's the truth. And now you have representatives getting on TV and saying the big beautiful bill is not going to cut Medicaid and Medicare. That's not true. It's not cutting anything. And you could show them charts and graphs and they'll be like, no, you're wrong. It's not cutting anything. It's cutting. It's cutting. So when you're out there talking to people, talking to potential constituents, what are they saying are their fears going into 2027 rather?
I think the biggest fear is that, just Republicans are going to somehow find a way to steal the election. I think that's what I'm hearing the most, right? More than anything else, they're saying, hey, look, we're tired of the status quo. We do want change. But we look at all of the redistricting nonsense that's happening here in Florida and across the country. And, we see that Republicans are making a concerted effort to silence, the minority. And yeah, that's what people are concerned about. And through that, right, if we silence people, then the status quo remains the same and nothing changes. And people are fed up with what's going on. They're like, hey, look, I'm willing to move out of the country than to stay and put up with the nonsense that's going on right now, which is sad because
That's
I mean,
severe.
I've spent 20 years of my life. I'm only 40 years old, but I've spent 20 years of my life defending this nation. And I really, want people to stay and this be a place where everybody can thrive. But yeah.
So do you think when you get into Congress that you should push for an end to gerrymandering nationwide?
Absolutely. And and again, this is one of the political realities. I'm going to talk to everybody that will listen, even if I have to go so far as to do a discharge petition to get it on the House floor. If we don't have a majority in the House, I'll do a discharge petition just to get it on the House floor and make people go on the record because it's that important. Everybody's like, no, gerrymandering's wrong when it's the other side doing it, and then when it's their side, they're like, yeah, but it shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't be able to pick who's going to vote for us because that is the death of democracy. We want people to vote and for people who are elected to be held accountable. If I know that I'm in a safe district, what incentive do I have to actually do what's in my constituents' best interest? Oh, I'm
None.
going to line my pockets. I'm going to, sit back and take all this corporate money and be like, oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
got nothing to worry about. But that's not how it should be.
And you know who's played a crucial role in all of this is the SCOTUS, Mr. Jonathan. The SCOTUS has made this all possible. They say partisan gerrymandering is fine. Corporate PAC giving is fine. It's all great. I don't know why somebody would put billions of dollars into an election unless they were trying to buy a seat. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a girl from Ohio.
Yeah, I think Citizens United is a serious problem, and we need to get that resolved. But also going to back to what you said about the Supreme Court, I think when I looked into this, the Supreme Court actually said that they had no jurisdiction over it. So it came down
Right.
to they said, "Hey, look, this isn't
Right.
our realm to decide."
Yeah.
Well, that's where Congress should step in and
Yeah.
say, "Okay, well, we as legislators will do our part and pass laws." But and this goes to one of the main reasons why I ran for Congress, where I said, hey, look, this is where I'm going to plant my flag, is because Congress has lost its voice. Congress is supposed to be a co-equal branch of government, a check on executive power and being able to write laws to address the needs of the citizens of the United States. And Congress has shown that they are more willing to be an echo chamber for whoever the executive is, as long as that's my guy, right? But they're more willing to be an echo chamber for the executive rather than to be an autonomous body and think for themselves. You can pass laws without the president. You need 2/3 of the
Thank
Congress
you.
to do it.
Oh my gosh.
So what I'm saying is Congress can function, but they choose not to. They choose to continue to play partisan games. And I'll admit, there are times where you need to vote with your party. But when you're standing in the way of doing what's right for your constituents and the rest of the United States, well, that's a problem.
You know, there used to be a time where the Speaker of the House had a lot of power when it came to negotiating with the president. Now it just seems like the Speaker of the House is just another person working under the president. And that's not how it should be. These are
No.
three different branches of government that we're talking about. The Speaker works for the American people. You know, Jonathan, when you get elected, you're going to be working for the American people, not for yourself, not for your party, even. You're going to be working for the American people. So if you had to make a decision that, I don't know, kind of went against what your party wanted, but it was better for people of your district, would you feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think my oath is to support and defend the Constitution, and that is what I will do. all the time. And yeah, again, like I said, there are times where I need to vote with my party. But if it goes against what my constituents are telling me at home, nah, because I am their representative.
Right.
This is a public service, and I think that for a lot of people who are in Congress now, they have forgotten that that is what this is at its basic, function. You are a servant of the public and the people that you represent within your district or within your state, wherever you are in the legislature, whether that be House, whether that be Senate, doesn't matter. You are a representative of those people. You speak with their voice, and it's not my voice, right? Like, I'm there to say, hey, look, this is what they're saying I should do, right? And now I have ideas, right? I have things that I want to get done. And I hope that people recognize that I have great ideas when it comes to fixing things. But ultimately, if they say, no, this is bad for us, it's gonna handicap our economy, it's gonna do X, Y, and Z, well, then I have to hear them, and I have to, either say, hey, look, this is my evidence as to why not, or speak with their voice.
See, that's crazy. I was just testing you because what you just said is not something a Republican would ever say. So you're definitely a Democrat. You are.
I'm glad I passed the test. I've been a Democrat since I was 18 years old. So
Republicans would be like, I ain't voting with no Democrats. I don't care. I'm Republican all the way, 100% all the time, 24/7. Let's talk about reproductive freedom and personal liberty. And around here, we say AB. We don't say the full word. We just say AB. Okay? Reproductive rights remain one of the most divisive issues in the country. What role do you believe the federal government should play in decisions involving AB, contraception, and reproductive health care?
So I'm going to say none, with the exception of codifying that into law, right? Because my job isn't to be in the medical examiner's room or the physician's room with the patient and say, no, you can't do that. And that is exactly what I'm seeing from my counterparts on the other side. And I understand that there is a religious aspect to it, that people believe that this goes against, you're killing a life. So I can understand the argument, but again, these are deeply personal decisions that people have to make with their physician and their families. And who am I to get in the middle of that? So I say that, yeah, my involvement is none. And after we codify something into law that codifies like Roe v. Wade, because I think that was the failure, is Congress relied on the Roe v. Wade decision and never actually passed laws to codify that. So that's my stance.
There have been a lot of failures in Congress, like failing to provide a pathway to citizenship for the Dreamers. Do you think we finally get that, or do we just drop the dream altogether?
I think that, again, if I'm elected to Congress, that is going to be something that I push for, because yeah, these folks have lived in our country, maybe all of their lives. They were brought here, as a child, and they didn't have a choice. They've been doing the right things. They've been going to schools. They've been getting degrees, being productive members of our society. And to say, oh, well, now I'm going to kick you out of the country that you've been living in your entire life. No, that's nonsense. We need to have a pathway for them to get their citizenship, and I don't know what that looks like in terms of actual policy. But what I do know is to sit here and do nothing is a problem. And to say that, we're going to get a Republican president who's going to kick them out of the country, horribly in some cases, that's unacceptable. So I do want, for people that I know personally who are here undocumented, who were brought here as a kid, to get that pathway to citizenship. I think that that's important.
So do you think there needs to be immigration law reform, or is everything hunky-dory? We just need to, figure out what to do with all them detainees?
So in terms of immigration reform, I think that, yes, there needs to be immigration reform, because the current politicians continue to use it as a campaign rally or a campaign initiative. Hey, look, I'm going to fix it. Hey, look, it's a problem, and we got to close off the border, and they're bringing in all sorts of stuff. So both sides have said, hey, look, this is an issue, but nobody's actively taking a stance to solve it. Where are the plans to fix this? I can say this with anything. I can say this with healthcare. I could say this with, insurance prices. I can say this with anything. But for immigration, yeah, there needs to be a better process. And I was talking to one of my fellow service members. Her and her family immigrated here, and she says, what is the process? And I was like, well, I was hoping that you could tell me. And she was like, well, there is one, and it's long, it's convoluted, and people can wait years to try and come here the right way. And I'm like, well, what's the issue? And she's like, well, we have, not enough judges, not enough, staff to process these people and do it in a fast manner, right? If you're not supposed to be here, then you're not supposed to be here. That should be identified off the jump, and then we take care of it, right? But for the people who actually put in the paperwork, do the things that they're supposed to do, it shouldn't take 5 or 6 years. I think that's horrible. So yes, immigration reform needs to be done. And again, it needs to be done in a bipartisan fashion to address the dreamers, to address the people who want asylum, and to address the people who want to immigrate here the right way in a manner that's expeditious.
Well, there are two prongs to it, right? There's the executive level functions, the DHS, and then there's the actual Immigration Act, the actual law. So are we looking at changing both of them? Because this one doesn't really have anything to do with this part, because the executive can do whatever they want to do under DHS. The president can pass executive orders saying, no, saying travel ban, blah, 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 blah. But this one says, this one is the process. It defines the visas, who can come in under a certain visa. It defines the programs. It defines the parameters. This is the enforcement body. So are we looking at changing both of them or just one of them?
So I think both, when it comes down to it, because I think the laws have lacked clarity. So you do have room to wiggle, so to speak. And we've seen the Trump administration wiggle their way through all sorts of things, even in just the last year and some change, right? Things that we understood to be true, they said, oh, well, no, it's not exactly that way. So enforcing the laws and making sure the laws are crystal clear on what the actual law is without wiggle room. So readdressing that, but also Congress's job is to hold or to be oversight for the executive. Right. And again, we go back to Congress not doing their job, whether that's passing laws, whether that's being oversight, and actually truly holding people accountable for the actions, especially in DHS and Border Patrol.
All right. And that's the other thing. The border is a different issue than asylum. It's a different issue than H-1B visas and fiance visas and permanent residency. It's a completely different issue, but it's all been lumped together. And people think immigration just means people are coming in through the southern border and we can't control it. And in order to control it, we just need to kick everybody out. No, that's not how it works. But yes, you're right. It needs to be better defined. But also, you can't just let the executive do whatever the heck it wants. We have the courts that are kind of trying to rein him in, but then he'll do something else over here. He'll be like, okay, well, I didn't win over there. I'm going to do this over here. And then the courts will have to smack him down again. That's the other thing. Legislation through the courts. Like, Congress is supposed to be the oversight. What do you think needs to happen in Congress besides a changing of the guard to finally get people to do their job in that body? Because you're still going to have a fair number, even if there's a blue wave, right? You're still going to have a fair number of Republicans who are going to fight you every step of the way to implement whatever Trump wants in his last 2 years in office. What do you think needs to happen besides a blue wave?
So again, I think this is a multi-tiered problem, and there's no one. I can't slap a band-aid on it and say it's fixed. So, in terms of, I know Republicans are going to fight us even if we have the blue wave, right? So, obviously, we go back to talking about how we codify neutral districting or fair districting at a federal level, because when we actually do that, then we actually have leaders who are elected who will be held accountable in some meaningful way. Right now, we have to lean on the MPAs to actually do that. The ones who the Republicans don't always count for. So we have to rely on our MPAs, because when we look at it, they draw the districts to where, hey, look, they're outnumbered. And as long as all of our people show up and the MPAs don't go overboard, then we'll be fine. So I think an end to gerrymandering is going to be the first step, or one of the first steps. And then outside of that, we have to break down these walls that have been built in our hyper polarized politics. And again, I know that this is probably a very unpopular position, but
Bring it on.
I talk with my Republican friends all the time. We are not that far apart. I am very in favor of strong borders. I think that we should have border security. And they think that we should have border security. So I think that we're very on par with each other, but we have to start having conversations, because if I sit in my camp with just the people who are over here who agree with me, then all I'm going to hear is the things that I want to hear. And nobody's ever going to challenge my point of view or bring something to my attention that says, yeah, you might be wrong here, or vice versa. And I think that's the important part, is if we can start having dialogue, if we can actually start, saying, hey, look, can we just put the swords away and actually do something that's right? Then people are going to get it. But if we do that for one Congress, if stuff's still gerrymandered, it's just going to go away as soon as we actually, try and start fixing the problem.
And I like that you talk to your Republican friends and you feel like you're on the same page, but their idea of border security is to put some death traps into the ocean. And maybe your idea of border security is just more CBP officers. Like their idea is literally to hurt and harm people and to keep people out, whereas Democrats seems to have more of a humanitarian, kind of compassionate plan. How do you how do you negotiate with people who are on that extreme? When you're
Well,
over
I
here
can
saying we need immigration is good for the country, we obviously need a certain type of labor force, but you just want to, have people in the ocean getting eaten by sharks.
Well, I can tell you first off, as a representative in Congress, I will always hold people accountable, and you will never see me not hold people accountable for doing stupid stuff like that. We shouldn't be injuring people as they try and come to our country. I think that there are more effective ways to I guess de-incentivize people coming here in the wrong manner. Immigration bans are one of them. Hey, look, you come here in the wrong fashion. Hey, that's a 3 to 5 year ban, and you get caught, you're going to jail. That I think is a far better incentive for people to try and actually achieve the American dream the right way. But to the Republican colleagues who are on the extreme, I can tell you that of the 400 plus members that are in the House of Representatives, not all of them are that way. And again, it's about building relationships with people that I can work with to accomplish a goal, because that's what I've been doing my entire career. Never have I ever sat in a military uniform and said, oh, you're a Republican, I can't work with you to achieve this goal. No, it's our creed is I will always place the mission first. And I think
So,
that
oh,
is the point that I am trying to get at is find people who understand the assignment. I will always place the mission first. The mission is the American people, their well-being, and trying to find good solutions to problems that exist today is going to be something that I focus in on very heavily.
so are you able to share some of the thoughts your comrades are feeling going into the midterms?
The
Some of
military
your
service members, or?
Yeah, are you able, just like generally speaking, you don't have to be like, oh, so and so told me this and so told me that. Just generally speaking, are people feeling encouraged? How is the morale? How are people like, man, this is crazy, this is nuts? Or are they like, ah, this too shall pass?
I think there are obviously, again, it's who you're talking to, you knowing your audience, right? If you have a person who's a Democrat, then yeah, they're frustrated with what's going on. The people who align themselves in kind of center, whether it be libertarian, MPAs, they also are like, yeah, this sucks. And then you have your variations of red, right? You have your light red, and they're like, hey, I voted for him because I knew that he was going to shake things up. I just didn't think it would be to this extreme.
Yeah.
And then you have the people say, hey, I voted for him because of economic factors. And he's not doing it. I'm paying $4.50 at the pump. I can't afford this. And then you have the people who are more on the far end of that. And they're like, they'll rep this man until, the day he dies. And there's
Till the
nothing that you
wheels
can
fall
do or
off.
say that will dissuade them from, the version of reality that they choose to live in.
And one of the things that surprised me, because I work for the Fed, one of the things that surprised me were seeing members of the military and their families during the government shutdown relying on food pantries to make up for what they weren't receiving. But also, I know some of them receive SNAP benefits. Like that's crazy to me. Again, with the VA, these people should be taken care of the best, and they're not. We're all just kind of thrown in this pool of IDGAF about any of y'all, and it seems like it's unfair. It's unfair. I don't think the members of the military should have to go through that, but that's a reality. Were you affected by the shutdown at all, or?
So because I'm not active duty, no, I'm a contractor, so my contract is already paid. But you touched on something I think that I've experienced before, and this is again a core memory for me of why I decided to run. I was on active duty orders at one point, living here in the Tampa Bay area. I wasn't as high of rank as I am now, but after me and my wife had our first child, we had to get food assistance because we could not afford the cost of living here in the Tampa area, with what came with raising a small child and having to pay for daycare. So we did need to go on food assistance for a temporary amount of time. And uh, what we see with the government shutdown, I think, is even more indicative of are we getting paid enough, because people aren't able to put away money in any meaningful fashion to where they can weather these kinds of 2 month outages of not getting paid and still being expected to go into work every day, because we know that there were some people who were designated mission essential where they had to keep coming in, and that's gas money, that's everything that they needed to pay for when they were at work, whether that be lunch or what have you. So these people are still spending money, but not getting anything in the door. So that's a problem that needs to be addressed. And again, with me, I'm still in the green suit, so I'm never not going to advocate for my brethren to my left or my right. Yeah, we need to figure out this pay situation, but also make sure that we never find ourselves in a situation where a government shutdown means our service members aren't getting paid.
So do you think Congress should be getting paid during a shutdown, Jonathan?
Now, this is a very interesting issue. And the reason why I say this is because let's say I get elected,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I don't get paid, I'm not rich. So I do have, a few months of savings in terms of what it costs to fund the household. But I think that we run into a situation where somebody might not be rich, and they might not have that savings as well elected to Congress, and then that person is financially struggling because they're not getting paid. It won't affect the people who are millionaires sitting in on Capitol Hill. It's not going to affect them. They're just going to be like Vern Buchanan. Last government shutdown, he was on his yacht outside
Yeah.
Sarasota. But
Well,
for
it's
the
not
rest
like
of
he could go
us,
to work.
yeah, right. But for the rest of us, like, yeah, we got to deal with these. We got to deal with these realities. We still got to buy food. We still got to take care of our kids, pay for daycare, all this other stuff. So I, I'm of the opinion that yes, there does need to be some sort of kind of repercussion for Congress, but I don't want to unfairly impact a junior member of Congress who's just getting in, who may not be
Mhm.
wealthy, who is
Mhm.
now financially struggling because the majority is saying, "Nah, we're not going to do this." So I do think there needs to be some kind of thing done there.
Like maybe federal employees should still be getting paid during a shutdown,
I'm
Jonathan.
with that.
Yes, thank you. I see. I knew you had good ideas.
Thank you.
I'm trying to, because I was lax in my job, and I'm trying to find some rapid fire questions because I'm supposed to do rapid fire. The problem with the rapid fire is that I ask you people these rapid fires, and they're one answer questions or a yes or no question, and you all go on and on and on and on and on, and I only get through one question.
I mean, if you
So,
do it, I'll do my best to just give you that one answer question. Sorry, one
okay,
answer.
one answer. Okay. Let's see. What is the most pressing issue facing your district right now? One word answer.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. Ooh. If you had to choose between investing in healthcare or investing in veteran services, which would you choose?
Healthcare.
Okay. Are you one of those wait and see people, or are you one of those I'm getting out of here because there's a storm a coming?
I'm more of a wait and see type person.
Really? You're a hunker down kind of
Yeah,
guy?
I mean, I live in Florida, right? We hunker down for everything.
Yeah, but you got kids. Don't you want to get the babies to safety, children? One word to describe Florida politics.
Corrupt.
Ooh. What makes your district worth fighting for?
The environment.
Environment. Okay. What is one thing people get wrong about your district?
That's a good one. I haven't thought of that one. That's not a very common thing. Like people actually know. Like they're like people make jokes about Tampa Bay. Like people know where it's at and they know like the surrounding areas. So we're not all Grady Judd. I guess that would be a good thing. People think that we're all like Grady Judd. And if you don't know who Grady Judd is,
I
I
don't.
I encourage you to Google Grady Judd and some of his press conferences, and you'll understand what I mean.
Grady Judd. Someone in the chat, look that up for me. I thought maybe that was a football player or something.
No, he's a sheriff in Pasco.
Yeah. Is he the one who does the pressers where he puts the pictures up of the people?
That's him.
Oh, he's pretty
Why'd you
famous
shoot
on
him? Yeah,
TikTok.
why'd you shoot him 57 times? Because we ran out of bullets.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy. We're not all like Grady Judd.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. That is good to know. So, what's the best local attraction? Beaches, the art scene, or the food in your district?
I'm gonna say beaches, and can I give you an answer why?
I guess. You've
Okay,
been
so I
through
grew up
it.
I grew up in the Jacksonville area, and that's kind of the dark Atlantic water. When I got off of active duty in 2009, I moved down here because my mom got me a job doing some web design, and I noticed there was a night and day difference between the beaches. It When they say clear water, it really is clear water over here. So yeah, that's it.
But the mosquitoes, Jonathan, don't they come out at night?
Yeah,
At
but
the
you go to
beach?
the beach during the day.
Go to the beach during the day. What if I want a moonlit walk on the beach, Jonathan? What do I do?
You might want to bring some mosquito repellent. I'm talking about that deep forest stuff with all the DEET.
Okay. What's a Florida wildlife creature you respect the most? The gators, the dolphins, or mosquitoes?
I think dolphins, just because of their intelligence.
Oh, I can't believe you live in a place where there are dolphins. At least we have fresh water.
Mm.
Okay. Uh, let's see here. One thing you would fix first: the traffic, the housing, or the water quality?
I would probably say the housing. Uh, I think if we can fix the housing issue, again, going back to homeless service members, people who can't afford a home, I think that that's important. Traffic, that's going to get fixed, but housing, yes.
What about the water quality? What's going on with the water? Y'all got dirty water in District 16? What's going on?
Well, so with the water quality, that just goes back to them removing. I want to say they remove fluoride from the water, and there's this whole big issue about whether or not that causes autism or diseases down the line. Um,
Yeah.
so they removed fluoride from the water, and we know the reason why that was added because it helps protect teeth. So yeah, that's part of the water issue. In terms of like the water here in Florida, it's also hard water. So most homes that you go to, you have to get the water softeners, but it's just part of living in Florida.
Yeah, fix the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Your favorite public sub? Do you eat subs at
Do I?
Publix? Do you eat their food? Do you eat the food at Publix?
So I know people are gonna hate me for this. No, I don't eat pub subs.
Oh, you guys, I don't know. He might be a pretender. I don't know. We don't have Publix here. We have Meyer and Sheets. So I don't know anything about these subs. Are they really good or something? It says a chicken tender or an ultimate. Is that supposed to be some kind of really good sub?
So just because I don't eat them, I do know that people go hard for the chicken tender pub subs. So yes, that is a thing. And my wife swears by them. So yeah, I trust me, I get it all the time. I just don't eat them personally. But yes, it is sometimes a fanatical thing. People are very avid about these things.
Oh, and apparently I missed iguanas. Do you like the iguanas? Someone in the chat said iguanas.
So iguanas, that is mostly southern Florida. We're talking Miami. We're talking those areas. That's where you see all the iguanas. We don't have iguanas up here in the Tampa Bay area. You're more likely to see a wild hog running around in your backyard,
Mm-mm.
or
Nope.
maybe some pythons if you get close enough
Nope.
to the
Nope.
woodland.
Nope. Nope. And
And we have Big Cat Rescue if you're familiar with Tiger King.
yes. Oh, yes. And to the person in the chat, yes, this is Ron DeSantis's last term.
Thank God.
What? What is it that you think you would do better than the person currently holding this seat?
That's easy. I would hold town halls. He has not held town halls in years. And we know that you get information from your constituents only a couple of ways. You show up to a public event, you show up to a town hall, or you answer your emails or your phone calls. And he does very little of those things because, again, he's felt very insulated in this area because there's a majority of Republicans around, and he has had no fear about what his voting record is or what he's done in Congress. And even some of the surveys that he pumps out are all slanted so you can only answer them in the Republican fashion. And that's not hearing from your constituents. Even if you got the survey back, you're just going to hear what you want to hear. So yeah, I'm going to show up. I'm going to hold town halls. I'm going to, answer the questions that people actually want to hear. Hey, why didn't you vote for this? And I'm going to tell you why. If you disagree, then I invite you to give me your reason. And then I will go back and say, okay, now I will look into this. But yeah, I'm going to show up and actually listen to my constituents because that's my job.
So, do you think there should be term limits in Congress?
There shouldn't have to be if if people actually
People
did
did the right
or
thing.
held people accountable. But let's just say I got a Democrat, and I'm going to use the Democrat. I'm not going to pick on the Republicans, right? I got a Democrat who's been in office for 15 years, and they're not doing what I want them to do as a member of the Democratic Party or my representative. Well, then I should hold them accountable. And if there's a primary, I vote for the other guy. But what we see often is that there's no incentive for a primary challenger. No members of the party want to make themselves vulnerable or make the seat vulnerable because of poor representation. It's my party or them. So we shouldn't have term limits, but the reason why term limits are probably necessary is because, again, we go back to people not being held accountable, whether that be from their constituents or just feeling blatantly insulated by their own party.
And what do you think is behind the voter, I guess you could call it apathy, the kind of lazy, the seat is safe, so why should I show up for the primary? It's gerrymandered, why should I show up for the primary? Is it because of these roadblocks that people see, or are people just really not engaged with their civic duty?
I think one of the most frustrating things for me as a candidate, and again, another reason why I decided to run, because when I talk to people, they don't know who their representative is.
Yeah,
And that's crazy to me
it is.
because you cannot care about politics, but politics does care about you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to show up, if you're not going to be informed at the voting booth, then you're just going to be basically pushed around like a dandelion in the wind. Whatever is the ruling class decides, that's what you're going to have to abide by. So it's frustrating that people are so disengaged, but also on the other side of that coin, right? As speaking as a millennial, we've gone through some of the craziest nonsense, and I can understand how people don't think that politics or politicians work for them. I mean, we went through, 9/11 and, there's people who say it's an inside job. And then we had the 2008 financial crisis. And then we have, the coronavirus and the response to that. And it's just been thing after thing after thing. And every politician along the way has said, hey, I will make it better. And very few have. So I can understand the reason why they withdraw and they want to not participate, or, they don't want to inform themselves because they think it's, the lesser of two evils. I hear that all the time, the lesser of two evils. But realistically, if we're not doing our civic duty, if we're not staying engaged, we're not holding people accountable, then again, they feel insulated and they'll do whatever it is that they want or whatever it is that big corporations are lining their pockets to do. And then we all have to suffer for it. So yeah, it's frustrating to me, but I'm hoping to change that. And I think that if I can get anything out of my candidacy is that more people are involved in the process. Because at the very end of the day, if we have more people who are involved, then we'll have better outcomes with who actually gets elected to Congress or to the White House.
Okay, Jonathan, to that end, I need you to give me just three bills you would introduce your first year that you think would benefit the people of your district. Have you thought about what bills you would like to introduce?
So I have and I'm trying to structure them, right?
Okay.
So I actually have a healthcare plan. It's called the American Choice Healthcare Plan. And the idea is to create a public option that will compete with private insurance. And the reason why you do this is because private insurance, they sometimes pay 2 to 3 times more than what Medicare pays at the same facility for the same, services. So we know that there's issues with the healthcare system and the health insurance system. We also know that, the health insurance companies are kind of vertically integrated to where, they have providers who are on payroll. They have pharmacies that are on payroll. They have pharmacy benefits managers. At every step of the way, this insurance company is getting a cut. And they're not actually being challenged by any meaningful, competition.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to introduce this public option that will compete with private insurance and insure, at least at first, all of the people who don't have insurance. There's zero cost. You're just enrolled if you're below a certain threshold. Let's say $30,000 a year, and this is a framework, so it's very fluid. We can adjust it. So let's say $30,000. You're automatically enrolled. You pay nothing. As you continue to make more money, you start to pay into the system. And then for the people who, after we get that stabilized, for the people who have private insurance through their employer, or whether they are getting insurance through the ACA, those people will be allowed to enter the program as well. And again, this will be a lower cost option that will make private insurance compete. So that is one, right? And I gave you a brief kind of overview of that. Two, we've got to get the gerrymandering under control. I've already talked about that. I think that, that is something that's going to transcend not just my run in Congress, but for everybody. So we need to codify that into law and make sure that fair districts are fair districts. They're not driven by partisan, intents, right? And then I think third, I think the easy button here for me is also going to be, and again, I have a long runway for this, but the easy button for me here is to put my name on whatever petition that needs to get signed to ban stock trading while you're in government service. And again, it's not a direct benefit to my constituents in terms of, hey, I'm giving you money for X, Y, and Z. But now I'm making sure that the incentive for running for Congress isn't self-enrichment. It is truly service. And they get paid well enough, right? They get $170,000 a year, and they get paid well enough. They don't need to be sitting here, having their stock person, make trades on their behalf because they know something's about to go down. So for me, I think that those things are I did one actual policy, one policy that I've written, and then the other two, I think that they're highly important to the next couple of decades in terms of political growth.
Well, you got a fan. Somebody said you're going to make them move to Tampa. They hope you're elected. We appreciate you, Too Tough
Thank
Tea.
you.
We love good candidates. I especially like smart candidates, people who have actual plans. Some people just want to sit in the seat, honey, and we don't need seat warmers around here. We don't. So in these final, we got like 12 minutes. At a time when many Americans feel divided, frustrated, and unheard, why should the people of Florida's 16th District trust you to represent their voices and fight for their future in Congress, besides the fact that you'll actually be responsive to them?
So I think when I look at my Republican colleagues across the aisle, I think that when you look at their style of leadership, it is very much just they represent their base, and that's it. It's not my goal at all. My goal is to be a representative for all of my constituents. And nobody is going to agree with everything that I do as their representative. But I think that's the point, is you don't have to agree with me on everything, but I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the work, and that all of my decision-making processes is going to be, from what I get from my constituents, but also data. Like I said at the earlier in the show, I'm a very data-driven person. And if I can put numbers on a paper and say, hey, look, this is what's in the best interest of my constituency because of X, Y, and Z. Now tell me I'm wrong. Then I think that's huge, because now it's not theory anymore. And I know that, even you said earlier, you can show them graphs, you can show them charts, and they'll say, no, that's not true. But no, tell me I'm wrong. I mean, show me logically, show me, scientifically, show me in the numbers how I'm wrong. And if you could do that, then okay, well, maybe we need to adjust. But I'm not going to be a representative for just Democrats. I'm going to be a representative for MPAs, libertarians, Republicans. Again, you don't have to agree with me on everything, but know that I will always have your best interest at heart.
Okay. And in 1 minute, tell the voters of Florida's 16th district, you can take longer than a minute if you want to, not just what you stand for, but what kind of leader you believe you would be when the pressure and responsibility of office truly begin.
So I think that this campaign, and we talked about it earlier in the show. I'm holding down 3 jobs now, my civilian job, my military job, and then doing this campaigning. And I think that I've learned that as a person, when it gets tough, again, I don't look for. I'm not a no person. I'm how can I get this accomplished? So my leadership, again, we talked about, I'm a servant leader. So making those partnerships with my state and local officials to see how we can get things done, that's what I do. And then I say, hey, did you get the resources that you need? All right, let's go. Let's make it better. And then next year I come back and say, okay, now what are we working on? How can I make this better? And just through that, that process, again, it's not about me, it's about my constituents. But again, I'm always going to show up. I'm always going to try and get to yes in terms of how we get stuff done. But also, I have that resiliency. I'm not going to bend or break under pressure. I did 4 deployments overseas.
4?
I'm still alive. 4, and
Why is
that's
this
light.
new information?
Oh, I'm
Why
sorry.
did you
Yeah, I
not
mean,
saying this?
yeah, I went to Iraq in 2007 during the height of the surge. I went to Afghanistan twice, once in 2013 and then once in
Wow.
2019. And then I was also in Qatar. We don't really count Qatar in the military, but
Why
I was just saying, we don't really count Qatar, but
4 deployments. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I interrupted you, but
no, but so
wow,
that's the
that's
thing.
amazing.
Like I've been under pressure and not just when it was dollars and cents, when people's lives were actually on the line. What I don't tell people is I'm in IT right now, but when I first joined the military, I was a frontline soldier. So I've been shot at. I was involved in IED explosions where I've lost friends of mine and I made it out alive. And again, I never lost my cool. I always, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about our ethos, I always put the mission first. So that is what I will do. And again, it's not about my own success. Did I make the people of Congressional District 16 better than when I got here? And if I can leave office and say, yes, they got everything that they need, they got the federal funding to improve public transportation, which is an issue here. They got that hurricane resiliency. We're now building, having better building practices. They got all of the things for healthcare. They actually enacted my healthcare plan. So that means everybody's covered if they choose to opt into the program. So if they got all these things, then I did my job. And I can look for my replacement and say, hey, look, I think you're a good person to try and replace me. And I think that's something that's also missing. I'm a mentor as well. As a warrant officer in the United States Army, our job is to mentor other soldiers and then eventually find our replacement. And again, I don't care if you're black, white, green, blue, orange, doesn't matter to me. I'm going to mentor the person that a person to try and eventually take the role so that people of this district can have excellent leadership when I leave.
Well, sir, if I lived in your district, I would vote for you, of course. I'm in Ohio and I can't do anything for you except spread the word about your campaign. That is why you are here. I think you present as an excellent candidate, honestly. That's just my opinion. Several people in the audience agreed with me, so I must be right.
Thank you, everyone.
But let the people know how they can support your campaign and where they can find you online.
Yeah, so
Besides TikTok.
I was going to say, I think the low bar to entry here is just follow my socials, right? So on every platform, you can find me at johnharrisforcongress.com. You could probably see it on the screen right now. John Harris for Congress. JohnHarrisForCongress.com is my website. and you can just check up with me there. I do a newsletter, I think twice a month, so you can figure out what I'm into. I've done a couple of different events in the past month. We're doing fundraising right now, so those are some of the things that we're kind of getting into. But like I said, the low bar to
How's
entry,
that
just follow me on
going?
socials.
How's
Huh?
that fundraising going? How's that?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing. But we'll get into that. I don't want to let my competitors know where I'm at, but it's actually going
Okay.
extremely well right now.
Oh, all
Word is
right.
kind of spreading around the area, and I had enough money to hire staff. So I have a congressional fundraiser on board. They help me with making sure that I'm doing my call time right, and then reaching out to people here locally to hold fundraising events for me. So it's going really well. But in
That's
terms of, like I
amazing.
said,
That's
how to
amazing.
support, one, spread the word, follow me on socials, go to my website, sign up for the newsletter, and then if you could donate, please do. Because realistically, I hate that the fact that I actually have to raise money to be a viable candidate,
I know. Yeah.
but that is part of the game that you have to play. So you can find the donation link at the website, and it doesn't matter whether it's $5, $10, $100. It doesn't matter. Yes, you can contribute from my site for the person who just asked. There is a donate link. There's a picture of me, my wife, and my two girls. You hit the donate link. I think it's in the top right corner of the site, and you can donate to the campaign. But realistically, that's how people determine if I'm a viable candidate, is if I can fundraise. So yeah, if you can, throw a little money my way. I appreciate you. If you like what I'm doing,
Hey,
you can
guys.
also send me an email at info@johnharrisforcongress.com and just let me know. Hey, look, I think what you said was on par. Or if you think something's wrong, let me know. Because again, feedback is how I learn and how I grow as an individual and as a candidate.
So, do the kids know you're running for Congress? Do they understand what that means? Do they know Daddy's running for Congress?
So my daughters are 8 and 4.
Oh,
And the oldest, the 8-year old, her name is Jade. She knows, and she she said something one time, because I also have to do social media, right? I kind of do my own content for social media, and she told one of her teachers one day that I hope my dad gets a lot of likes on his post, and the teacher asked why, and she told him, because I'm running for Congress. And she was like, haha, that's funny. But then she was like, no, really, he's running for Congress. And then they looked me up and they were like, oh, snap, he really is running for Congress.
running for
And
Congress.
then my youngest, she says it, but she doesn't know what it means yet. So it's funny.
Aw, and just to confirm, the district that you're running in is a red district, correct?
So we talked about redistricting earlier in the show, right? So it is traditionally red. However, with the gerrymandering that they just did, they added a bunch more Democrats from Pinellas County into my district, which actually changes it to slightly more favorable. I think we're under 10, we're under the 10 plus region. And we're seeing across the nation that Democrats are getting huge swings, especially for Democrats that people actually like or that are really viable. So this is a winnable seat because there's no incumbent and we're under the plus 10. So we can definitely swing this seat.
Yes, you can.
And
Yes.
actually, yes, for the person who said Mar-a-Lago, I was actually in the room at a fundraiser last night with Emily. I met her in person. That was so freaking cool.
That was a triumph that even I celebrated, and I had nothing to do with
Yeah.
it. But that is amazing, and I wish you the best of luck. I really do. I hope people show up for the primary, people. Listen, people of Earth. Only 22% of registered voters showed up for the Ohio primary. I'm hoping y'all get at least 40. Can we get 40? You think we can get 40 in
I
Florida?
know people are angry. So yeah, I think there are a whole bunch of people who are going to show up and show out.
I hope they do show up and show out. And I hope that they do you guys fill in the bubble or do you have machines or what do you do in Florida? How do you vote in Florida? Do you
I'm
know?
not going to lie to you. I normally just do it. I do a mail-in ballot, so it's bubble for
Oh,
me. Like you just bubble next to their name. I've
okay.
never actually been to the thing. I know Donald Trump says that's cheating, but I do the mail-in ballot every year.
Wow, you've never had the experience of
So,
going.
when is the
Oh, they have tabs too.
so somebody asked when is the primary? The primary is August 18th.
August 18th. So you've got a few months to sway more voters. Hopefully, this little shenanigan shindig that we threw for you gets you more people on your side. It certainly helps to get your voice out. It will be available on YouTube soon, I hope. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what? Y'all, didn't y'all hear him say that he has a free weekend? I'm trying to get him out the door so he can go start his weekend. We have a question from the
No,
audience.
I don't have a question. I just came up to clarify what I was saying. So, the whole Bush Dole debacle was because they said some
Oh,
tabs wasn't removed properly, or they wasn't sure if it was
yes.
to this or to that. I don't know if they still use tabs. I was just making a joke that they have tabs.
No more tabs, no more hanging chads, no
Yeah,
Oh,
so
more.
the
yes, the
dimpled
hanging tab.
chads.
Yes, no more
Yeah, the
dimple
dimpled
chad.
chads.
Yes, no. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just kidding about that. But I agree, I 100% agree with Miss Ayana that you are an excellent candidate. We're going to do our best to make sure that you get all the promotion you need to make sure that District now turns blue. So there we go.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Buttermel.
Okay, bye-bye.
Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, thank you. You know what, Jonathan? Just because this is your first time, there you go. I knew Sianka would come through. She loves the interactive gifts. I
I
love
love
it.
it.
We appreciate you so much coming by here and trusting us to display your talents for politics. You're very talented, Jonathan. But also, thank you for your service. I can't even, like, that's amazing. 4 deployments, that's amazing. We really do appreciate your working hard for the American people and keeping us free. Darn it. It's hard. It's a hard job, apparently.
Um,
Uh,
I'm gonna say thank you for having me on. This has been an absolute treat, and hopefully I can do some more of these. This has been awesome. So I do appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, now that you've done one, you could be like, "Hey, I've already done one of these, y'all. If y'all want to have me on, there's some other people who do this too.
I
Maybe,
tell you
or
what,
you could do it
when I
yourself.
get elected, you can have me back on and say, okay, now that you're in office, how is it going?
Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you. Somebody's going to write that down. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Jonathan Harris is running for U.S. Congress, Democrat primary, Congress, Florida District 16 for the person who asked in the chat. District 16 in Florida. You're in Florida City. You don't cover Florida City, do you?
No, I don't believe so.
No, no Florida. Okay. Yes. Mr. Harris, Florida Congress, District 16 for the U.S. Congress, not the Florida
U.S.
State
Congress,
Congress.
yes.
U.S. Congress, U.S., United States. He wants to go to the Capitol, y'all. He wants to go to the Capitol building. And the primary is in August. Please, you all, vote. Please vote, 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 vote. The primaries are important. Don't skip the primaries, okay? Do not skip the primaries. Mr. Jonathan, there is another town hall coming up with another person who is running for Congress. All you people running for Congress, I hope all of you win. This time it's out of Connecticut. It's on May 12th, which is a Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have Kyle, I believe that's Gawk. I'm going to have to confirm that, who's running for U.S. Congress District 2 out of the state of Connecticut, all the way up to the East Coast, rather, from Florida. Yeah, so join us again, May 12th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We would love to have all of you back here for another one of our town halls. I believe I'm moderating that one too, so Mr. Kyle is going to be in for a treat. So, again, Mr. Harris, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great weekend off. You deserve it. You work 15 jobs. You deserve some time to yourself and with your family. Again, we appreciate you having us and being here. And again, you all follow Mr. Harris here on TikTok, but also all of his other socials, and go to his website, donate to his campaign if you feel so inclined. We are, who are we? We are The
Our
worst
vote
is something.
counts.
Our vote. Listen, Mr.
It's on the
Jonathan.
screen.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan. That is your 10th job there, Mr. Jonathan. We are Our Vote Counts. Listen, I'm going to make it to Saturday. I am, I promise. We are Our Vote Counts, an organization promoting candidates of integrity all over the country. We've done Oregon to Florida to Texas to New York and Connecticut. We represent candidates of integrity. We hope you will join us again here next Tuesday. And remember, people, your vote is your power. Thank you so very much, Mr. Jonathan Harris. You take care. Everyone else, take care. Have a good night.